You beautiful hoe. Hey, bitch, you pretty.
Is that's how the guys talk to you?
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It's kind of sad if it is.
In all the years I've been alive,
Yeah.
I've been catcalled so many times.
Does that bother you?
Absolutely. I mean,
Really?
absolutely. I fear for my safety.
Well,
I just don't know. It takes power away from somebody when you get catcalled, you know? If it's something like, hey, I like your hair. I'm like, oh, thanks. Like, cool. But if it's like, damn, girl, and I'm like, oh, okay, what's happening here? I think that
do you get scared?
I get terrified.
Why do you get scared?
Because I've been mugged twice.
Out here?
Yes.
Okay.
I've been mugged twice. I was fined both times because I needed to defend myself. I developed very early, so my mom taught me.
When did this happen? Were these recent times?
No. They were one when I was 18, one when I was maybe, I want to say 16.
Okay.
So it happened like really kind of close to each other, but like now talking about it, like I'm totally fine because like I'm fine, you know. Yeah. But I was right by my house both times, and it was just like guys that wanted to talk to me, and I was like, leave me alone, like blah blah. And for a long time, I was
the guys that wanted to talk to you.
These guys that wanted to talk to me, yeah. And I was like, please stop talking to me, like, yeah. And then like, give me your purse, and I was like, I'm not gonna give you my purse because I have things in my purse that I need.
Yeah.
And it turned into like a struggle, and both times I was able to defend myself. And both times I was able to call the cops, and they were still there. So I was just the whole process.
So did they get the purse?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
They got the purse, but the first guy, I was able to do this thing that I learned where you just like do this to the nose.
To the nose, right?
Yeah, to the nose, right? And when he was like down, I just like punched him in the chest, which knocks the wind out of him. And then there was like a cop like down the street, so I was able to just like be like, hey,
do you know what happened?
Yeah, he's in prison for sure. Like the cop was like, you're not even gonna have to show up to court because he has priors. I was like, okay, so he went away for a while, I
All
guess.
because you wouldn't talk to him.
Yeah, because I wouldn't talk to him. So I was walking down the street and he was like trying to talk to me, and I have had the habit of putting my headphones in since I was maybe 13 because I don't like people trying to talk to me. I really bad anxiety, and I was like, just don't talk to me. Like, you know, like I just want to walk home and not have anybody bother me.
Yeah.
So this guy starts talking to me, and he's like, hey, just tell me your name. And I was like, no, I'm not going to tell you my name. And then he grabs me and turns me around, and he's like, hey, don't ever fucking disrespect me. And I was like, I don't know you, and I don't want to know you. Leave me alone. And he grabs my purse, and he's like, well, I'm not going to give you your purse back. And I was like, give me my purse. And then we started like the tug of war. He grabbed the purse, and as soon as he grabbed the purse, which I think it was more, I don't think he was trying to steal my purse. I think it was more like, I'm going to hold this until you give me your name or until you come with me, which I was like, I'm going to get kidnapped. Yeah. This is great. I'm going to die. So just my fight or flight kicked in, and then
what was the second time?
The second time was more of a blur. It was, I was stupid when I was just out of high school, and I was walking home from college, and it was very late. I had a night class that ended like at 9:30.
Yeah.
Stayed in the library for a little bit. It was like 11:30, and I was walking home, and the guy, I just like felt the push, and I heard the give me your purse, and then I just turned around and just like elbowed him in the face. It was, again, it's fight or flight. Yeah. It's just you don't get a second to think about it. But
did he get your purse?
No. I elbowed him in the face, and he fell to the floor. And as I was running, he fell to the floor, and I called the cops. And I'm pretty sure he was like a drug addict or something.
Did they catch him?
I think they did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, from what I understand, they did. I didn't have to go to court and testify. Apparently, he did this a lot at the time. And he had done it. So they're
again.
Oh, hits him again. Like,
come on, Steve. What are you doing?
Steve, leave this girl alone. Why are you taking these girls'
that
purses?
Is crazy.
Yeah.
Would you have gone to testify?
I would have. Yes.
Would you have been excited to testify?
You know, I've only been in a courtroom once and it was super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So at that time I hadn't been in a courtroom. So I think if I could go back in time, I'd be like, just go.
Yeah.
They don't need you, but just go anyway.
That's on my bucket list as well. Testifying against somebody?
Yeah.
I'm like, he did it. Yeah,
yes. I mean, look, I'm not saying I'll kill somebody so you can go to court,
mm-hmm.
but I am saying I will fight somebody if
Yeah.
you want, and then you can just be like, oh yeah, like this bitch just like came out of nowhere and just
That
started
sounds like a
fighting.
good plan.
I mean, right? Nothing bad could possibly happen, right?
Not at
Like,
all.
no, not at all.
Not at all. We got a Jussie Smollett plan right here. We're
Yes,
gonna write this down later.
absolutely. Oh my god, absolutely. We're gonna get a deal with HBO.
She did. Yeah, she did.
It's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna sell our story, and that's how you become famous.
So you said that you didn't have sex in high school.
I did not. No, I lost my virginity at 19.
Okay.
It was not a very good experience, unfortunately. Not like one of those like awkward, oh, this is awkward because I didn't know how to do sex, you know? Like it was, I was very pressured into it. Yeah, it was so shitty. It was so shitty. I have a lot of trauma in my past, by the way, for anyone listening. But yeah, I was with someone that I really loved, really cared about. I was not ready to have sex, but he kept doing the whole...
If you love me, then you do it, yeah.
And
I would feel like a scumbag if I said that.
You know,
to somebody.
I'm glad you say that because I think a lot of people think about rape or assault and they think that it's inherently really violent and really like black and white, but there's a lot of like gray areas that we don't really talk about, and that happened to me. I mean, I didn't want it. I had told him repeatedly that I was just not interested in having sex, and now as an adult I realized it was part of my sexuality and not so much because I didn't like him. You know, it was really difficult to be 19 years old in love with someone and hear the words, if we're not going to have sex, then what's the point of being together? And
was he like your first kind of true love type thing? Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay. So after that, did you continue a relationship?
Yeah, because I was doing it to stay in a relationship. I was doing it because I loved him and I thought he loved me, and I thought that that's how that worked, even though I'd seen movies about it. My mom had told me about it. Like, come on. Like, I fucking grew up knowing that that's not what it was.
Yeah.
But when you're in the situation, it's just so different, right? Like, in any situation, like, it's so freaking different. Like, it's so different. And I realized I was in this situation and I didn't want out because I thought, yeah, I'm uncomfortable. Yeah, it hurts emotionally and physically.
Even like just that first time, or every single time?
Every single time after. It wasn't even so much like, oh, he was too big and it hurt. Like, no, I'm not gonna give him that satisfaction of thinking that it was because he was like, oh, look at this big penis. Oh my, like I cannot handle it. No, it was. I know. I'm sorry that I'm making you laugh talking about my sexual assault, but I've had years and years to think about it.
Yeah.
But it was like, no warm up, really? Like, you ain't gonna like warm me up. You ain't gonna suck on these titties. You ain't gonna do anything to make me feel like good.
Every single time, though.
Yeah, every single time.
Man, that sounds
every
horrible.
Single time.
Did you tell him?
No. Because when he ended things, it was all on his terms. It was over the phone. It was very impersonal, and I obviously had a horrible mental breakdown. Horrible mental breakdown because I had put my body and my well-being through all this bullshit.
Yep.
And for what? For this person that eventually just decided he didn't want to be with me anymore for no reason. And
so there was no reason. He was just like,
no, I've never gotten that closure, and I don't think I ever will. And I'm not really interested in it anymore. I think that closure is something that the movies tell you exists. I think in life there's not a lot of closure. I think that even when you confront somebody and you hear the reason why all of this happened, it's never going to be enough. You know,
think so?
I think so. And I think it's because it's not up to the other person to give you that closure. It's up to us to give ourselves that closure.
But sometimes, don't you think it makes you feel better knowing that it wasn't your fault, or you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I can see that, like, for sure. Like, I can see how that might help, but
it's still gonna hurt.
Yeah, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. I think that people, you know what? I'll rephrase it.
Okay.
I think people glorify closure.
Okay.
I think people glorify closure, and I think that they think like it's gonna solve whatever they're feeling. I think they think it's gonna solve, it's gonna erase whatever they're feeling and just replace it with this like, oh, this sigh of relief, and oh, that makes sense. Like, because it isn't gonna always make sense. You know, someone can cheat on you and they'll tell you, well, because I wasn't happy. And then you think, well, why didn't you tell me? And then they could say, well, it's hard to tell you things. And then you have to look within yourself and say, well, am I really hard to communicate with? You know, whatever it is, there's 1,000 things that you can confront people about that ultimately you have to like look at yourself and like confront a really hard reality about yourself.
Yeah.
And sometimes they have to confront a really hard reality about themselves. I think in this situation, I was really young. I really wanted to feel a love like in the movies, like a love that everybody had told me about. And because I had never really felt that way about anybody, I was willing to do anything to keep that feeling going.
Yeah. But did you feel that way with him?
Yeah, I was absolutely in love with him.
Okay.
I would have given my life for him. I would have done everything for him. And now looking back on it, it was so stupid. Because
how long were you two together?
About a year. Okay.
Was he older?
No, we were about the same age.
Okay.
I think he was just a few months older than me, if anything.
Yeah, same age.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, same age.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say that before him, I had been in a relationship with someone that I think kind of like started that snowball effect of me allowing men to treat me just like utter crap. I was with a guy when I was in high school. This is horrible now that thinking about it. But when I was in high school, I was with a guy that was like in his 20s. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it never got, obviously we never had sex, but we fooled around, which is also like super illegal. But yeah, like so really, guys, don't do it. Yeah. Children listening, the millions of children that are listening to this right now, don't do it. I never fell in love with him. I think it's because I knew what it was. You know, I knew that it wasn't anything serious. It wasn't anything special. I wasn't going to be his like wife. I wasn't going to be his girlfriend.
Did you want to be?
No. And I think it was because at that point in my life, I was still smart enough to think, how am I going to bring him home? You know, that's something that I think a lot about when you're family oriented. Sometimes you think about that, like, how am I going to bring this person home? You know, like you meet someone with a face tattoo and you're like, you're real cool, but how am I going to bring you home to my mom? You know, like things like that. And not to say face tattoos are horrible, because they're not, like, but those are little tiny things.
Like the
you
older
think
generation,
about.
They kind of, look
and
differently on them then.
Exactly. And even if you, for example, with my situation, I was with someone that was significantly older than me.
Right.
How can I justify this to my mother? I'm 17 and here I am talking to a 24-year-old. How can I justify this?
Where'd you meet him at?
Can't.
Where'd you meet him at?
At a battle of the bands, like the goddamn punk trash I am.
So after your bout with this guy when you were 19 and he broke your heart, right?
Yeah.
Did that make you feel some? No, actually. So while you're having sex, right, with this guy,
yeah,
and it's just horrible.
Yes.
Do you just think that it's always going to be horrible? Like sex is always going to be horrible?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so how did you cross over into, I guess, finding B.D.S.M, and how did that happen?
Right. So, I struggled a lot with myself after that breakup. Okay. I was really lost. I didn't know where to go from there regarding my sexuality, especially because, you know, you're put in a position where the sex you have was consistently bad.
Yeah.
You don't want to think about it again. You don't want to think about having sex again. And I, in general, never really thought about sex and was even aroused by the idea of having sex. I'm asexual, which means I don't find anybody's sexually attractive. It doesn't mean I don't have a desire or want for sex, because that's kind of a human condition. Like, there are people that don't, genetically, that they just don't feel like that chemical reaction of wanting to have sex with someone.
Right.
But I won't look at a guy and like have some drinks with him and get to know him and be like, yeah, I can take him home and fuck him.
You don't get
I
like
don't
that.
get that. I don't get like that. And everybody's different. Just like if you're gay, you can have preferences. If you're bi, you can have preferences, et cetera, et cetera. For me, I do enjoy the act of sex now. I do enjoy the act of sex, but I never really meet people and think, yes, I want to have sex with you. And I feel a sexual attraction, because I'm sure, you know, as a sexual person, I assume you're sexual.
I'm still a virgin.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Virgin Club. Hey. But as somebody who's sexual, you found yourself in situations where you meet someone and you talk to them and you get to know them, and you don't think about ever having sex with them. You think, this is just somebody that I want to be friends with. This is somebody that I really enjoy spending time with, and I just really want them in my life as a friend, as a colleague, whatever. And then you find yourself meeting people and you're like, yeah, I like this person, and I feel some kind of way about them, you know? I don't feel that way.
So
I know there's so many questions. I know.
How did you end up having sex again?
Okay, so the B.D.S.M community came to me at a really, again, at that point in my life where it was very, very important for me. I would just turn 19. So my ex, I was with him when like 18, and then I turned 19, and then almost immediately after he broke up with me. And then going into 19, I was like, where do I go from here? Blah, blah. I ended up going to the library. Support your local libraries, everybody. And I ended up looking in the section about human sexuality. And
but why were you curious about it?
You know, I think that I just kind of wanted, because at the end of the day, I felt like maybe he broke up with me. It had something to do with the sex. I thought it had something to do with the sex. You know, either I wasn't good enough, or he wanted to go have sex with other people. And I thought, why would somebody do that? But why would somebody do that? And
if he wanted to have sex with other people, right? Would you have been okay with that?
At that point in my life, no. At that point in my life, absolutely not. And I think it's because I attributed sex as the ultimate form of
like love,
intimacy, and love. Yeah, intimacy.
But now you would?
Yes.
Okay.
My husband and I are in an open relationship.
Okay.
He's allowed to have sex with other people. I'm allowed to have sex with other people.
But do you, if you're not even really like?
Yeah, because it's something that I still want. I still want sex. You know, like I still want to have sex, but I don't meet people, and I couldn't have a one night stand.
Gotcha.
You know, I couldn't have a one night
Gotcha.
stand.
Okay.
Like, not just because like, ooh, scary, could be serial killer, but I physically couldn't. And, you know, going to the library and reading all these books on sexuality. And then I said, fuck it, I'm going to take a human sexuality class. And I took a class, and they talked to us about B.D.S.M. And they talked to us about bisexuality, asexuality, being queer, being on the spectrum, being all these different things. And that really opened my eyes to wanting to learn more about it. And I took more classes. And eventually I met somebody through a queer center that told me about B.D.S.M, and they got me more into it. And I was, you know, taught more about the consent, and that's when I realized I had been sexually assaulted. I mean, before that, I thought I was just having bad sex. Yeah. But I realized I had been sexually assaulted. I realized that it wasn't consensual, that it's not just about saying yes. It's about not coercing someone to do something. And that's what BDSM is too. It's, you don't coerce somebody into letting them tie someone up, or whipping them or spanking them even.
What does BDSM stand for? Let me guess.
It's okay. I want you to guess. Yes.
Bondage. Yeah, I got that right?
Yeah.
Is it domination?
Dominating. Yeah.
Okay, S, sex.
No.
I don't know.
Submission.
I would never get that. Submission. And M is.
Oh, you got this. it sounds like the word for chewing, but it's not. That's like, listen, I'm trying to figure out how to, it's like charades.
Mouth.
Mouth. Yes.
Is
Mouth.
it?
No.
Oh.
It's absolutely not mouth.
Munch. Because that's like for, is it?
No.
Because that's for chewing as well. What is it?
Masochism.
I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that.
It sounds like masticating, right? No, I'm crazy. It's fine. It's fine.
Masochism. Okay, I know what that is though.
Yeah.
Okay, so bondage,
domination, submission, and masochism. And there's different iterations of it. Like there's, I think I've heard like it's not dominating like something else, like, and submission can really be replaced with something else.
Yeah.
But all it is it's a power play. You know, it's again, for me, that's the ultimate form of intimacy that I can experience sexually, is allowing somebody to do that to me.
So are you the dominatrix or are you the
so a
submissive?
dominatrix is also like more of like a profession, and
Okay.
it is like so as a sub,
explain it
so
to me,
you have your doms,
Yes.
which are the more dominant, what people say is more dominant.
Okay.
You're the one, usually if there's pain involved, inflicting the pain, giving commands,
Right.
you know, you're dominating.
Mm-hmm.
Submissive is you're the one usually receiving it. You're the one usually being a little bit more submersive in the what is the word that I'm thinking of? Yeah, I speak real good words. You're a little bit more I don't want to say less in control, because you are more in control as a sub. Okay, so as a sub, yes.
I was gonna ask you about that.
Yes. So as a sub, you're the one on the receiving end, let's say.
Yes.
And as a sub, you truly do have more power than the dom, because the dom, yes, can pinch, whip, whatever it is you're into. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you have talked about this beforehand. You're not going to show up to someone's house and start playing dom and sub and not having talked about this beforehand, because you don't know where it can lead to, and if you don't know where that line is, mm-hmm. it can lead to something dangerous.
Yeah.
And it can lead to someone getting hurt or someone getting traumatized or whatever it may be, someone having a bad experience. The sub is the one that gets to say, I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do this, but I do want to do this, and I do want to do that. I will allow you to do this to me.
You have a safe word?
Yes.
Do you keep the same one every single time?
Yes.
What is it?
Josh Groban.
Why is that your safe word?
You know what? He's just so tender. And he's just, have you heard his voice?
Yes.
It's like the voice of the angels. And I just like, when I find myself like, oh, wow, I'm not comfortable with this, or wow, that hurts. I would think of like him singing, like, and I was like, oh, that should be my safe word, Josh Groban. Like, why not? Because bless his soul. Yeah, it's the same one for me. It's just nice and easy to keep it, consistent.
So you've taken all these classes at this point in your life,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Well, during that time when you were taking all these classes. So then when were you like, okay, I'm gonna try this?
Okay, so like sex or like B.D.S.M stuff?
B.D.S.M.
What I learned as I was learning about it, I was practicing and allowing people to practice on me. I had a sexual partner. We weren't having sex. We were literally practicing bondage, and I more let him teach me what I was comfortable with and what I wasn't comfortable with, because I wanted to know everything, and I wanted to just kind of like just be knowledgeable. And I have this like habit of, when I learn about something interesting, I want to learn everything about it. And this person really went out of their way to teach me about the community and introduce me to some people in the community. And it was really pleasant. It was very truly nothing sexual ever happened. Not even kissing, nothing. It was all just, I trusted him with never hurting me in a way that I didn't want to be hurt.
Did you ever get hurt accidentally?
I did, but I want to say it was my fault.
Okay.
Because I was told not to move a certain way, and I did, and it caused like really bad rope burn on my hand, and that was just my fault. That was just my fault. But I've never been hurt to the point where I'm like I don't want to do this again, or anything like that. No. And even I have been whipped to the point of bleeding, and I didn't want it to stop, but it had to stop because it's like I'm bleeding. It should probably stop.
So what pleasure do you get from it? Like, what does it make you feel like?
I mean, it makes me feel, oh my gosh, I know it's different for everyone, but for me, it really makes me feel this ultimate sense of release. Like, it's every time somebody, and with my husband, because my husband is the only person I practice with, because again, it's something very intimate. It's not something you should go, I believe it's not something you should go practicing with just like anybody, because you really don't know who you're allowing that part of yourself to like engage with, like it's a really deep part of you to let somebody either inflict pain on them or receive pain from them. And for me, I don't feel so much pain as I feel like release. And it's just every day in my life, or not every day in my life, but there's a lot of things in life that I feel like we can't control, and I can control that, and I can enjoy that.
How often do you practice?
Is
that what it's called? Practice?
Yeah, practice.
Okay.
Like practice or engage, whatever you want to say. A couple times a month. Okay. Just because, I mean, honestly, for me, it's just it's time consuming sometimes, and I'm going to school and I'm working, and it's just like, oh my God, I don't always have time for it. But when we do, I sometimes end up just like crying because it's just so like, it's such a big release. Is
it like hysterical crying?
No, it's just like little cries here and there, like afterwards. It's always after, like when I'm done, because I felt like really relieved. And aftercare is really important. Usually after any kind of like session with someone, you want to make sure that the sub is taken care of. You want to make sure that Dom is taken care of emotionally, and that, you're telling them like, hey, like, are you okay? How was it? Like,
in your marriage, are you good? Always do you switch?
Yes, we switch. We switch. Yeah. I let him Dom a lot, just because it's what he's comfortable doing, and I'm comfortable with both. I'm truly comfortable with both. Not everybody is, but I think allowing him that control is good for him, and me letting go of control is also good, because again, I need to be reminded that I'm not in control. Like in every day in life, you're not in control, and engaging in that kind of activity reminds me that sometimes it's okay not to be in control, but sometimes I do, and ultimately I do get to call shots, and I get to say, like, this, I'm not comfortable with this anymore, or I don't want to do this today, blah, blah. But
how long does it take?
It's different for everybody. It's different depending too on the
For
the
you
activity.
and your husband, like, what is a normal
it
session?
really depends on what we're looking to do. If sometimes it never leads to penetration. Sometimes it's just spanking. It's rope tying. We've been practicing shibari ropes a lot, which is just like the art of like tying your partner with like ropes. And I think it really depends. It can be anything between 30 minutes and like 3 hours. It just really depends on what we decide to do.
Woo!
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Oh, yes. Oh,
And that was my next question about do you have sex afterwards? And a lot of times you don't?
Sometimes it depends on the mood, just like with anything else. Sometimes you can be messing around with someone and you never end up, having sex. Or sometimes you end up just going straight to sex. I think more often than not for us, it does lead to sex. We've taken the time to do all of this, and then at the end of it, we sometimes do end up having sex, but not all the time. I'd say it's 50-50.
Okay.
And again, it's different for everybody. If you're going to a professional, if you will, most of the time it won't lead to sex.
Don't they make a lot?
I mean, I don't know what they make. I wish I knew, because I do know a couple of sex workers that practice, and it depends on their client, depends on what they're asked to do. It depends on a little bit of everything. It's not one flat rate. You know, it's not, you know, $200 for the night and then $100 for every other thing. No, it's not how it works. Yeah. I know that's how, like, the movies portray it, but it's not necessarily how it works.
Okay.
Everyone sets their price. Everyone, just like how as an actor, you know, you can start a SAG. What's SAG? Like 100 a day or something?
I have no idea.
I think SAG is like let's say SAG is like 100 a day. Can
you do that, or isn't it? You can do that. I thought it was you only had 2. Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah, she's like, yeah. She's like on the corner, like me.
Have you ever done B.D.S.M? No.
No. She always asks me about it too.
Yeah.
I love.
You want to try it?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. What is the not strangest? What is the? I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. All right. The strangest thing that, or most extreme thing that you've done.
That I've done. Oh my God. I think, you know, and I'll only say this because I have a fear of like body parts coming off, which is such a stupid fear to have.
You like fingers and arms?
Yeah, like my arm falling off, my fingers falling off. Like, you know what? It has. I think I saw way too many horror movies as a kid, and too many horror movies as an adult, and I read way too much about serial killers. But I think having somebody put nipple clamps on me and pull on the nipple clamps and like direct me using the chain on the nipple clamps, to me was like the craziest thing I've ever done.
Okay.
Just because I was so afraid my nipples were gonna come off.
What is the craziest thing or most extreme thing you've done to being the dom?
No, you know what? Nothing too crazy, actually. Pegging is usually the most wild thing I do. Ooh. Yes. Pegging is so much fun if you haven't tried it. Oh my God. It is the bee's knees, girl.
Why is it?
You know the male G spot is in the anus.
Is that true?
It is up the booty.
I don't know.
Oh, girl,
is that true?
Booty. Yes, it is true. I took like so many human sexuality classes, and that boy is up there ready to be played with.
When I was in the Army, sidebar. When I was in the Army, right?
Every good story starts with pegging going to when I was in the Army. Right?
There was this guy, and he was a wild dude, and he told us that whenever he's having sex with his girlfriend, whenever he's about to come, he tells her to stick her finger up his ass.
Yeah.
To make him.
Yeah.
We were like, what the hell are you talking
about?
Yeah,
you ain't never had someone like play with your taint or any. Man. Oh my God, the taint is so much fun. Like,
I'm gonna take your word on it.
Please, you know, and I know he's gonna kill me when he listens to this, but my husband, I was like, hey bro, just let me put in your, just like a finger, just let me do it. He was like, no, like that's like, I don't know, like he wasn't like, oh, that's gay, like no, like it wasn't like anything like that. It was like, I don't know, I don't want anything in my butt, I don't know. And he, little by little, I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna pressure you, but I'm just telling you, slides over a piece of paper, these are the facts.
Here you go.
I've done my research, and here's the research, and and it got to the point where I didn't ask anymore. I didn't want to ask anymore because I don't want to pressure him. And he just said, hey, let's try this. You know, when he got to the point where he was comfortable to come to me and say, hey, let's try this. And little by little, and then, you know, like we started like working up to pegging, and we don't do it as often anymore. But it really likes it. And I mean, it's something that you work yourself up to, you know.
But why do you like it?
I like it because he likes it. I like it because he likes it. Honestly, I love making my partner feel good. And I think that's just who I am as a person. I like making people feel good in general.
Yep.
But also because I remember how horrible it was not having anyone make you feel good sexually, you know?
I understand that.
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's all what I tell people. BDSM doesn't have to be this big, long session where everyone's wearing like leather outfits and like,
I mean, that's how like entertainment that's how they perceive it, you know, television and film, that's how they make it seem.
Yes.
One last question. What is something that you just wouldn't try? You know what, this
okay, now are we talking about like kink things in general, because like kink is there's kink, there's fetishes. Now
so
I know. Everything is like a whole thing. So kink.
Give me kink, yeah. And then
Okay,
we'll
kink.
go down the list.
Okay. Oh, you know. Oh my God. All right. Get ready for this. You're sitting down, right?
I'm ready.
You're sitting down. You're sitting down.
Let me take a sip of water.
Take a sip of water, because
pass out.
I don't know if you've heard of this, and I know a lot of people haven't heard of this. My husband hadn't heard of this, and we've been together for 7 years, and I constantly talk about this stuff with him. And now I can't remember what it's called, but some people with penises enjoy when you put something in the urethra.
I've heard of that.
Yes.
Yes, I've heard of that.
And there's some that can get pretty,
Whoa.
like the size of a pencil. I don't think I could ever. I don't think I could ever do that to someone.
Painful.
Yes, it does. I don't think I can ever allow somebody to put like a foreign object into me, like a champagne bottle.
Yeah.
Please don't put that in my body. Like, I don't want a yeast infection. I don't want it to shatter inside of my pelvic muscles. I don't know. I think that's like maybe one of those things. I'm sure there's other things I wouldn't do, but that's something I wouldn't do.
And that is a kink.
That could be. I feel like putting some definitely the urethra thing is a kink. Now a fetish is something more that that's a little more. Oh my God, how is it explained? I should have like Googled the definition, because like it could have made it so much easier. A fetish, okay, whereas kink is like choke me daddy, a fetish is like pee on me.
What's the difference?
I think a fetish has more to do with like, oh my God, I really should have looked up the definition. A fetish has more to do with, it's like you need it. It's almost like it's like you need it to get off.
That's a kink.
Yeah,
right?
and a kink, no, a
That's
kink,
fetish.
a fetish. Yeah, and a kink is more like, oh, this is something that I like to include into the sexual act.
I knew this old guy, and he liked, this is honest God truth, he liked when his wife would pop balloons on him.
Oh my gosh.
So
that's
what
like
is that?
so common too. Like that's a fetish for sure.
When I was
I
like,
think it's a
what?
fetish for sure.
When he
And you
told
know,
me
and it's and that's so funny, because like I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
okay.
And that's like
okay.
a thing. Like that's a thing. I mean,
is
I
a
don't
thing. Okay.
I don't have friends that have divulged that information to me, but like
So, but which one is that?
that's a fetish. I would say that's a fetish. And again, what I say here, and it's very important to take this away.
Okay.
I think in general, you don't want to go hard on like categorizing everything.
Mm-hmm.
The important thing is just as long as you're safe, sane, and consensual. That's the important thing. Go ahead and take a dump on someone's chest, as long as that person knows you're gonna take a dump on their chest and they're okay with it.
You ever done that?
No, I don't think I could ever do that. Anything to do with any bodily fluids? Oh my God. You know, like the human body's so gross. Like I just couldn't do that.
If your husband wanted to peg you, would you let him do it?
Yes. I think he's pegged me before, actually. Yes, he has pegged me before. Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. That's how we prepared for anal. That's how you prepare for anal. Typically.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. I'm very cautious because I've been in the dark side of the internet. You know, those
like the dark web?
the not the dark. You know, I'm not that great with computers. First of all, let
it
be known. I have no idea. I barely know how to like put in my USB drive. Like I don't know how to access the dark web.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you go on Wikipedia and it leads you to just random websites and you just can't stop because you're already that far deep into the web that you go, how far can I go? And the first time I found out what a prolapsed anus was, I said, I can never let that happen to me. So obviously when we wanted to try anal, I was like, let's prep for this.
Yeah.
Let's prep for this because I don't want to be that girl in that video. I don't want to have to go to the emergency room and be like, here's my anus, fix it for me.
Are you still studying right now?
I'm going to school for criminal justice right now, but I consistently read about sexuality. And
so you don't go to classes for sexual
No.
pleasure.
I was majoring in human sexuality, but I I think it got to the point where I didn't know what I could do with it. Like what that major could lead me to, aside from a sex educator, which I don't think I have the planning abilities to do.
You probably do very well as a sex
Thank you.
educator.
I
Go
could
around
do
doing
it.
some seminars.
I could do it like this. I could do it casual and fun, and if you don't ask me too much about technical terms, because I'll forget the words for things. But I don't think I could also have that inconsistency, like doing like seminars and stuff. It's a little inconsistent. Like, you don't know when your next paycheck is coming, and that's something that comes with having anxiety. Is like, I want to have consistency, which is horrible because I'm a server.
Could you, if someone asked you to write out a class, could you do that? Could you sit down and write down, like, this is lesson 1, lesson 2, and like go down and like gradually work?
I think I could. It would just be really hard to keep me on track.
Okay.
I get distracted very easily. So I'll just like start talking about one thing, and I'll be like, now pegging is this, children. And then I'll start talking about Taco Bell and how much I love Taco Bell. So, you know, don't eat Taco Bell before getting pegged, because you will shit on somebody's penis. Lesson learned. Learn from my mistakes, everybody.
Oh my gosh. So all right. So now you're into criminal justice.
Yes.
Tell me about that. How's that going for you? Why did you pick that major?
Oh my God.
It's very broad, isn't it?
It is very broad. There's a lot. That's kind of what I liked about it. There's so much you can do with it. There's so many things that you can end up doing with criminal justice.
Yep.
But something that I learned a lot through the B.D.S.M community was that sex workers were being treated like just absolute garbage. We see sex workers as less than our society, I would say, sees sex workers as less than.
So why? I saw a few things on Vice. Let me back up a little bit. So for me, I get kind of sidetracked in life with different topics, and I just go. Not surround myself, but I really think about it. Certain things. I'll give you an example. So right now I'm on drugs.
Oh,
like anything about drugs. I'm so fascinated about drugs right now. And for a while it was like sex workers and things like that. What is the difference between a sex worker and a prostitute?
So the difference is the respect behind the name. So so just like we stopped saying the R word for mentally disabled people, we have stopped saying prostitute for sex workers.
Okay.
It's dehumanizing. It was the people that were using the word prostitute, they weren't using it to describe people that were sex workers. They were using it to say it as
like to demean them.
To demean them, absolutely. And sex workers started saying, well, we're not what you've been saying that we are. And we're mothers, we're daughters, we're sons, we're fathers, trying to make an honest living. There
are male sex
absolutely
workers?
Absolutely.
Really?
Oh yes, absolutely. There is male sex workers, female sex workers, gender non-binary. I mean, absolutely every person you can think of, as there's this kind of sex worker out there. Just like how there's porn for everything, there's a sex worker out there.
So how do they work without going to jail?
Unfortunately, that's kind of where things get really tricky, and that's where actually it's a very real issue going on right now, where Elizabeth Warren and a couple of other people that are working on legislators getting rid of they got rid of a site called Backdoor, which was basically like a Craigslist.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's called a Backdoor, if I'm remembering it correctly, and it was kind of like a Craigslist for sex workers, and it was where they could advertise themselves, and people could also put their ads out and say, I'm looking for a woman that likes to have anal, and it can be discreet, blah. And so it was a safe way to connect. The way that it was created, it was very safe. It was a way that sex workers could operate without running the risk of being murdered, being raped, being assaulted, and it was a big community, and it got shut down. And
why did it get shut down? Because people were getting murdered, or
no, actually the opposite. I think it was getting shut down because people think that your body is yours until you can profit off of it. you know, and they were whatever. They really didn't give a reason so much as, oh, well, sex work is illegal, and so we should not be allowing this thing to go on.
But isn't that weird that the government's telling you what you can and can't do? Isn't that so
It's,
strange?
you know, as a woman, I've been experiencing my whole life, the constant fear of, am I going to be allowed to get an abortion? Am I going to be allowed to get birth control?
Yep.
You know, things like that. I was at a certain point, I had health insurance that didn't cover birth control and that didn't cover a pap smear.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I think that as a woman living in poverty, I've never been surprised by it. But I think that what surprises me is that we've normalized porn and sex work is so like, what? Like, you solicited a prostitute, you know, like you solicited a woman, you paid someone to have sex with you. It's like, why not? I mean, I wish that my ex would have paid somebody to have sex with him instead of coercing me into doing it.
But even still, like, people, when you go out on dates and everything like that, you're still getting, this is how I see it, right?
I think I know what you're going to say, and I'm really excited because,
You know,
yeah.
Like, if you take a woman out, right, and you buy her dinner and everything like that, and then, like, in exchange, she shows her appreciation by sleeping with you. Isn't that the same thing? Except you're just not giving her tangible money, but you still... It's the same thing,
absolutely.
right?
I mean, absolutely. To
You're
me,
just
like,
trading stuff.
Exactly. And I mean, I think that the way I look at it is, I would rather somebody go out and say, hey, I will pay you this much money to have sex with me tonight. Mm-hmm. And this person just shows up to their house and they go right into it. Then the whole, hey, what's your name? Oh, yeah, I like this too. And it's just this whole big elaborate scheme to ultimately just get this woman to sleep with you, and then you ghost them once you're done. I mean, isn't it way more convenient? Isn't it even safer if you know somebody is just going to show up, have sex with you, there's money exchanged, and that's it?
Yeah, you know, like, if they've been tested and everything.
Exactly.
Like, so how is the bunny ranch still...
that's a different state, so their stuff is a little bit different.
But isn't it all under America? Like,
yeah. So different states have different jurisdictions and all of this stuff, and they have different laws. So the bunny ranch is in Nevada, and it's also in like a certain county where it's legalized there. And they are obviously also like regulated where, you know, they have to get tested. They have to go through all this stuff. And I mean, look at Vegas. Like, you can drink and gamble out in the open and they have a thriving economy. I mean, look at places in Europe where sex work is legal and their economies are doing so well and their STDs and STIs are super low.
That's true.
Because people are constantly getting tested and people know the importance of using protection, or at least just being mindful of your partners and what you can be either giving them or what they can give to you. We haven't learned from it because at the end of the day, I think that we're a really quote unquote Christian nation that I think just wants to police people's bodies.
I think that's gonna go away as these old guys start dying out, and you know, fresh blood in is gonna start dying out. Vegas is weird. I saw a man buy a baby on the street. Vegas.
I love Vegas. We go there like once a year now. I love Vegas.
I've only been, I think, twice. I went to the Soul Train Awards once.
My God, what?
Yeah, I met Mike Tyson. Did I tell you about that? I met Mike Tyson. That was the best moment of my life.
Is he gigantic? He's gigantic, right?
No, not really.
What?
No,
really?
He's not that tall, but his hands are massive.
Oh my God.
His
well,
hands
I mean,
are so big.
Imagine his hands were tiny. Like,
that'd be weird,
right? I'd love that. I'd love that.
I'd slap his face. Like,
he's the one with the pigeons, right?
Yes.
Oh my God. I love that. Do you know about him and the pigeons?
He's a super nice guy, though.
Oh, really?
Had a beautiful woman with him. Oh. Beautiful woman.
He's not married, is he? No.
I don't think so.
No. Oh my God, that's so funny. I love Vegas. See, like, see, I'm all about exploring your sexuality and like doing whatever makes you happy, and in the process, not hurting anybody.
Yep.
You know, like that's do it. Like, why not? Like, try it. Like, go sleep with 1,000 people. I don't give a shit.
If they legalized sex working, would the human trafficking go down?
You know what? I wish I had an answer for you, and I wish I could say yes, but I just feel like people are inherently can be so evil that I don't really even know if it's about the legalization so much as the power dynamic.
But most human trafficking, isn't it for sex?
Yes, but it's more about the consent and the power dynamic. As a sex worker, you get to call the shots. You get to say, I don't want to do this with you and I don't need your money. As a sex worker, you can say, yes, I will do this and I'm going to charge you more for it, you know, and there's rules laid out. There's a contract laid out, if you will, whether it's verbal or a physical handwritten thing. But with trafficking, when you sell somebody into any kind of unwanted situation, it's not about them being a sex worker. Like, I wanted to be a sex worker, so I got human trafficked. That's not how it works. It's they kidnap these young women and these young boys and these young girls and these young boys, and they force them to perform these sexual acts on people or have these sexual acts performed on them. So it's not about consent, you know, it's because it's not consensual. But as a sex worker, you're consenting to whatever is happening. So I don't know if it will fix the problem, but I do think it will definitely contribute to more sex workers being safe and less on the whole being murdered thing. It will give them autonomy over their body as well. A lot of the time when sex workers are found murdered or dead, they just chalk it up to, well, you know, it comes with a job. And oh, well, we're not going to look for the murderer because, oh, well, they were just fucking for money, so what did they expect? But if it's seen as a legitimate profession, and if they're seen as people, you know, like, again, sex workers, not prostitutes, sex workers, then we'll look into the murders. Then we won't see somebody that was irresponsible or being dumb. We'll see a human being whose life was taken away and was possibly murdered.
Isn't that weird that what you just said? I mean, you murdered somebody,
yeah,
so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it shouldn't matter, but it does, and that's something, unfortunately, that I've learned not only in the major that I'm pursuing, but it's something that I've learned being like obsessed with murder and being obsessed with like serial killers and like true crime, and you learn about that. I mean, there's oh my god, was it, you just heard the podcast, right? It was Dahmer. Dahmer was one of the people that got away with it for so long because he was murdering sex workers. Oh, male sex workers, yeah. So he got away with it, yeah, right?
He was murdering males?
Yeah.
Was he sleeping with them as well?
Yes, he was sleeping with them and then killing them, and sometimes keeping their genitalia and
in the refrigerator, right?
Yeah, and doing things with them. Contrary to popular belief, he was not a cannibal, but it's because they found them in the refrigerator that people thought he was eating them. But it was him like keeping them as like trophies.
Mementos or something?
Yeah, mementos. Yeah, exactly. But he got away with it for so long. And same with Willie Picton. Willie Picton is he was a serial killer in Canada. He was actually a pig farmer and would feed the body parts of sex workers to his pigs.
How did he find them?
How did they find him? Yeah. Honestly,
because pigs will eat everything, right?
They eat the bones and everything. Right? Yeah, I think they the whole pig thing, I think they might have just like gone through the feces of the pigs and then found like body part fragments or bone fragments. I honestly can't remember how they caught him. I mean, my husband's gonna kill me because that one's a really fascinating story.
What's his name again?
Willie Picton. Willie Picton, a really not very well known serial killer that was just all kinds of fucked up and just absolutely disgusting, but really interesting stuff.
So what do you want to do with your criminal? What are you going to do with your
What am I going to do? Yes.
What are you going to do with
your
criminal?
I'm actually developing a YouTube show where I talk about true crime and about serial killers and all this kind of stuff while something more pleasant is happening with my guest. So let's say I'm telling you about Willie Picton.
Okay.
A lot of people can get really bad anxiety and really like anxious, like listening to it or talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to be teaching me how to, I don't know, replace a tire. Because that's something that you know how to do and that you're really good at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've never replaced a tire. So like, show me how to replace a tire. And then at the end of the show, I want to have you also tell me something that you know, like something that personally happened to you.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite murder, really great podcast, has something called Hometown Murders.
Mm-hmm.
And it's people just telling them, the girls on the podcast, like writing in or physically telling them in their life shows something that happened in their hometown that was crazy, whether it was a murder or just something like insane that happened, like something violent. And that's something that I'm also really interested in hearing is whenever I talk to people and I say, do you have a hometown murder? I love, she's a great one. She's a great one that I don't want to ruin for the show. She is a really great one.
Did you tell me?
Oh my God, it's great. We'll talk about it after. I don't want to talk about it right here because, oh my God,
I have one for you.
Oh my God, but yes.
Let me
get nice and cozy.
Do you want me to wait? You want me to do it on your show? You want me to tell you right now?
You know what? I'll let you do it here, and then we can also do it on the show because I'm so excited right now.
I was in high school, right?
Yes. Okay, where did you go to high school, first of all? I need to like create the scene for me. Tell me the story.
Women need the most details. Guys like, all right, a guy like the story, it would have been done with.
The guys are like, I knew this chick, she got stabbed. Oh, cool. Yeah.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Story. Oh my God.
Story. No, I went to Churchland High School in Portsmouth, Virginia.
In Virginia, okay.
Mm-hmm. So we're in Virginia.
Okay. So little Ryan with his little overalls. No, were you in high school? No, you were in high school.
I wasn't a farmer, man. Overalls.
You didn't wear overalls as a kid? I loved wearing.
Oh, I wore them. I think when I was maybe 10 or 11.
Okay, so you're in high school though. So you're wearing like your windbreaker.
I'm wearing jeans and a shirt.
Jeans.
Jeans and a shirt.
Got it. Okay, got it.
Actually, no. I was wearing a camouflage uniform. I was in ROTC.
Oh my God. Okay,
right.
See you.
There
I'm imagining it. Okay, cool.
I'm in my camouflage uniform, right?
Okay, got it.
I dated this girl. She was 2 years older. I was a sophomore. She was a senior.
Oh,
we're all three of us.
Baller. Look at you, player. Okay.
So when you making me laugh. So her friend. So she had this really good group of girlfriends, right?
Okay.
And I would hang out with them like I knew them and everything like that.
Yeah, right.
And she also had this guy friend. Right, all of them are older than me. I'm the only one that's.
Oh, okay.
I'm the only one that's a sophomore. They're all seniors.
Really quick, did you look older, or were you like?
No, but I would act mature,
Got
so
it,
I wasn't like doing stupid stuff.
Okay, got it.
So the guy, I became really cool friends with him. He was really funny too. He was really quiet, but he was funny.
Okay.
So me and him would just hang out from time to time, without the girls, just the guys hanging out. And he started dating one of the girls in the group.
Okay, got it.
You following me?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I live for this.
So they start dating, and then they're dating for a while, So I'm a senior at this point.
Oh.
They're still dating. My girlfriend, me and her are still together. She's in college.
That's
right
like
now.
married by high school standards. Wow.
Pretty much,
Jesus.
yeah. So they're both. All three of them are in college. They're doing their college thing. So one day my girl calls me. She was like, hey, I'm going to call him Steve. Steve. No, we found.
You're like, oh, no, shit, that's his real name. Oh, God.
We found, they found Melissa in a ditch, murdered. I was like, what the hell? I was like, I almost said his name. What did Steve, think about this? They were like, Steve did it. I was like, no, that's not gonna possible. God. Even to this day, it's still, when I think about it, I'm like, there's no way he could have done that. Because it's kind of like if you called me and said she murdered somebody.
Okay, but if she murdered me, that would make sense. Just for the record, if she murders me.
I don't know you. But if someone said I was like, there's no way. There's no way that she would have done that. But he murdered her. Because she wanted to break up with him. So, he raped her first.
Oh my God. Jesus Christ.
Murdered her and threw her in the ditch.
Oh my God.
I think he got life.
God. Did you? Oh, and you didn't get to testify, you poor thing.
I wanted to, too.
No, you wanted to?
I wanted.
Oh,
no. For that one, I didn't want to. I don't want to testify.
They probably would have asked for a character witness or something like that.
Maybe.
So like, and I mean, I don't know how much you know about the case. So did they just knew it was him? Like they just had DNA evidence, obviously. Like,
I mean, he was the last one who saw her, and they were out together.
Yeah.
And they found her that night. So they were like, well, it has to be him.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean?
Oh, but see, this is where me as somebody going to school for it and somebody who reads way too many books and sees way too many movies. Mm-hmm. I just think, well, I want to know more about the case because I want to know what kind of evidence they had against him or if it wasn't him. I mean, you've heard of cases where
that's true. We
think it was the husband or the boyfriend or the girlfriend, and then it's like, actually it wasn't. You know? I
didn't even look into it because
I mean, no, that's traumatic. That's like, absolutely traumatic. That's somebody that you're friends with. I can share one of my hometown murders with you. Okay, so
how many do you have?
Too many.
Okay.
Too many.
Where did you grow up?
Yeah, I grew up in North Long Beach. And
you
not
grew up
like
in Columbia?
Yeah. I mean, I talk a lot and I listen to a lot of people and I interact with a lot of people. And you know, when you interact with a lot of people, you're bound to know one of them is a serial killer. So okay, let me just.
Is that like a statistic or something?
I mean, what do they say that everybody in their life? Oh my God, I'm gonna be so upset because I can't remember. It's like for every 100 people you meet, one of them is a serial killer, something like that. Yeah, it was probably just in a movie. I'm probably just like imagining it. It's like it's probably not even real, but so my hometown murder. Okay. I guess it's not really a murder, but it's just something crazy to happen. So it's
not a murder.
I'll let you decide what it all like the story is like. It's just okay. So okay, like I guess okay. So now listen here.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Listen. Okay, so this was maybe. I want to say maybe 6 years ago.
Okay.
I want to say about 6. Yeah, let's say 6 years ago. I was working at Parker's Lighthouse, and okay. I can say that now because I don't work there anymore. They hired on this server that was an older guy. He was like in his, I want to say late 40s, maybe early 50s, okay. And I inherently just don't trust people right away. It's a defense mechanism, mm-hmm. Based on the numerous amounts of trauma I've had in my life. Mm-hmm. But I always got a really bad feeling around him. And he was always very nice to me. He was always very polite to me. I used to work at the same restaurant with my dad, and he was always really nice to my dad too. And I remember very vividly telling my father, like, Dad, I don't know what it is. I don't trust him. And it's not that he's mean to me. I just don't trust him. There's something, in Spanish, he's like, me da cosa. Me da mala espina. Like, you get a bad feeling in your spine.
It means his pants are too small, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Good job, everybody. But, the incident that made me go, I cannot trust this person, is that he said something along the lines of, oh yeah, I'm really into curvy Latinas. And he said it to me.
That's you.
And, well, that's me. I'm a curvy Latina. You can't see me. Yeah. But I'm not a skinny white lady. And that, you know, again, some people say certain things and they kind of just stick with you a certain way.
Yep.
And one day I'm coming home from a doctor's appointment, and I get a phone call from a former coworker. And I'm thinking, oh, man, she's calling to catch up. I'm like, oh, yeah. I'm all excited. And I pick up the phone, and she's like, have you seen the news? I'm like, what? Have you seen the news? What are you talking about? And this guy's, I have no problem saying his name. His name's Joe. And she said, hey, you heard about Joe? Have you seen him at work? I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you're sounding crazy. Like, what are you saying, girl? Like, hi, by the way, I haven't worked with you in like over a year. It's been nice talking to you, you know? And she was like, yeah, so you're sitting down? Yeah. So my husband and I were watching the news, and it turns out that Joe, this guy that I had not trusted, had been impersonating a cop, a Santa Monica police officer, and had been raping and beating sex workers for several years. Kidnapping them, raping them, beating them, and then just dumping them somewhere. Now, he didn't kill them. As far as we know, he didn't kill anybody. As far as we know. Well, turns out that one of the sex workers had finally decided to go get a rape kit done, and the rape kit had finally been processed, and he, I guess, had a bunch of priors, so his DNA matched in the system, and they raided his apartment. They dragged him out of it, put him in jail. His parents posted bail, which was set at $1 million.
Wow.
His parents posted bail, and then he got out.
He ran.
Got to his apartment and hung himself. His parents put up their house, their entire house, to bail him out, and he decided to kill himself.
Well, I mean, yeah, because you're going down. I wouldn't even have let my parents do that. Like, don't put up bail. Like, there's no way I can win this.
Absolutely.
There's no way. Were his parents wealthy?
You know what? I assume they were.
Well, they probably weren't if they put up their house.
Yeah, well, it was, I mean, bail is usually what? You pay 50%? 10%. Oh, yeah. Yeah, then, yeah. I mean, I don't know, but
still, man.
Yeah, and you go through everything in your head of, oh my God, I was right.
How old was he?
I want to say late 40s, early 50s. He was a server at the restaurant, and he was
going down.
Yeah.
He was going down.
Oh, absolutely. He was going to get life. Absolutely, he was going to get life. Just impersonating a cop, impersonating any officer, like, you're fucked. But, I mean, these poor women, multiple women came out and said this. It was just...
How many did he get?
I want to say it was, like, at least three. But I mean, that's the thing too, is going back to, like, with sex workers, is they couldn't all report it. What were they supposed to say? You know, I was out there hustling and doing my thing, and then this guy impersonating a cop raped me, or this guy raped me, this cop raped me. What are they supposed to say? Like, how can you report that?
But what? Well, they never got a chance to ask him. I was gonna say, why did he beat them? I never understood that.
It's a power dynamic. It's a power dynamic. It's all about power, Ryan. Like, it's always about power. Like,
but why not beat up someone why not beat up a man? Beat up another man. Because somebody who's smaller than you, like a guy that's smaller than you.
Because then he couldn't rape them. You know? That's what it is. And I think that you study a lot of these people that do things like this, and it always comes down to power. It's never... I always tell people it's hardly ever about the sex. It's about the power. Usually when people rape, it's not even about the sex. I can guarantee you, no matter how unattractive you think you are,
somebody will take it.
Someone is gonna fuck you. Someone's gonna go on Tinder and swipe left, right? What left? Left is the good one. Left is the they'll swipe. They will swipe.
We're all three of us are like,
we're like, shit.
You swipe up?
They'll like
diagonal?
that picture.
Yeah.
They will want to get up on that dick or pussy. But at the end of the day, it's not about the sex. It's about the power. They want to feel like they have power over someone. Like they are regaining their power, if you will, you know.
How do you feel about humans now after taking a sex class and criminal justice and finding out about the mind as well? Do you think that all humans are, or most people kind of are like a little
fucked?
Yeah.
I think we're all a little bit fucked up, and I think that's what makes us who we are, right?
Don't you think everybody has the ability to kill though?
Oh my God, I don't know. That's like something really interesting that I just recently started thinking about.
I think we all have it.
Really? I think,
do.
I think at the end of the day, I used to think no. Like, I used to think I didn't have it in me. But I think if I'm defending myself, it's either me or them. And this person is attacking me. So I have a right to defend myself, kind of thing, you know? Like, I don't... Oh, it's hard to think about that, right? It's hard to think about that like, not even like, I think we all have the ability potentially,
Mm-hmm.
but doing it is completely different, you know?
Yes.
Just think that, like, thinking in your brain, I think I can do it, and then physically, like, doing it, like, so different.
Mm-hmm.
So different. It's like anything else in the world, anything else that you think I can do this, and then you're confronted with the situation, you're like, I can't do this.
Yeah. It's different when it's in your head and when you're just thinking about it one day, but then when it actually comes down to it, you're like, nah, I don't know if I can. Or
yeah. And I think that all in all, it also you put worth and value on. If you put worth and value on human life, it's significantly harder, you know?
Yes.
And I think that after everything I studied, after all the experiences I've led, I don't think that people are inherently bad. I just think that we need to learn. I think we need to learn to love a lot deeper than we learn to hate. And that's with everything. A lot of these serial killers, a lot of these terrorists, a lot of these rapists, I think it comes from a place of not being taught to love and being taught to harbor the bad feelings.
Have you ever thought about this, that throughout the history of mankind, that someone has always, well, a lot of people have always taken human life for granted, only because, like, for war, you know, even like in the 1700s with your war, people weren't living until their 80s and 90s how they are right now. So I guess they kind of got used to dying early. And then diseases, so people were dying off because of diseases. A lot of people didn't even make it to be 30. So you love that person, but you kind of knew if they died, it wasn't that heavy on you. Does that make sense, what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I can see that. Actually, studies have been proving that I guess, like, in the 1800s, there were people that lived to be like over 100 years old.
Really?
Yeah, because there weren't so many harmful chemicals in the air. We weren't consuming so many processed foods and so many processed, like, beverages and stuff like that. But I think also, you're right, there were things that a heart attack now you can survive. Yeah. Now you have a heart attack and there's a really big chance that you can survive it. Not a big chance. Yeah. I'm having one right now. I don't know about you. I was like continuously having one. Jeez. And here I am, ladies and gentlemen. Modern medicine. I'm having one right now.
Let me pop a baby aspirin and keep it moving. Yeah.
I also had a stroke like 2 seconds ago. You didn't tell? But we survive these things, you know? Yeah. And I think that maybe, people do take it for granted. But I also think it has a lot to do with a lack of human connection through social media, through capitalism, through a myriad of other things. We no longer connect with people as we are right now, talking to each other and sharing our stories and sharing experiences and sharing time, you know? And I think if we could sit down and share more of that with people, I think that it would cause, I don't think it would fix everything. I don't think it would cause world peace. But
it would make a significant dent.
I think it would. I absolutely think it would. There's times when I've sat down with my mother, who's, you know, she's somebody that's in her late 50s and she's set on her ways. She thinks a certain way and that's how she's going to think. But I sit down with her and I tell her, I'm not going to tell you how to think, but you can't dehumanize people in this way. You can't see somebody as less than because they're a sex worker. You know, you can't see somebody as less than because they're a drug addict, you know, and it does change her. And maybe the thoughts creep back every once in a while of her wanting to humanize these people, but she does change and she has changed. And my friends and family and like people that you talk to, you see them change, you know, you see them grow. And I think if you give people the opportunity to grow and you actually genuinely want them to grow, that you can help them. But I think that when nobody listens to these people and nobody gives them genuine love and human intimacy and compassion, they're the ones that end up going to school and shooting it up. And I think that maybe some people are born that way. And there's nothing we can do, and we might never know what we can do, but all we can do is show people big and little acts of kindness. And that goes a long way. That goes an absolutely long way. Yeah.
I believe that.
Yeah, I've lived it. I think I used to be very jaded. I was a very angsty teenager. I was suicidal, and I had a really hard life with battling with my mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's the exact opposite, where I'm just, yeah, I still have those demons. I still have that mental illness, but I feel absolutely so loved. So loved. And I'm so grateful, because I'm such a completely different person than who I was even a year ago. And it's because of this human interaction, and it's changed me, and it made me someone who was afraid of being intimate with somebody while simultaneously only wanting intimacy.
Yeah.
And honing exactly what it was I was feeling, because I had somebody reach out to me and say, hey, this is what you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I know, because I felt it too. This is what you've experienced. I know, because I've experienced it too. You know, I think it's all human interaction. I think that's all it is. Yeah.
I'm gonna end on that, because that was
Yeah.
very well put.
Thank you for
doing this.
No, thank you for having me.
No problem.
It's been an absolute pleasure, and I mean, I can talk for hours and hours about anything, but I'm glad to talk to somebody that's, again, all about the human interaction.
I'm pretty sure I'll have you on again, because I feel
fun.
like there's more.
Yeah. Oh, there's When
are you starting yours?
What's up?
When are you starting yours?
I'm hoping to start filming this summer.
Okay.
So if you want to have me back on, we can maybe talk a little bit more about that, and that'll be really fun.
Help
yeah.
You launch that.
Yes, and I'll definitely have you on, and I'd love to hear.
Let me know if you need I have a lot of equipment.
Yes.
Maybe
Oh my God.
it.
Yes. Thank you. I'm excited.
Worries.
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Where does it end? Is it over?
Yeah,
Is it over? Do I?
You can move now.
Do...
You're so silly.